tweets out, the Wolves are 5-2. They have the best defense in the league, being the 2 favorites for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Has a revived DPOY caliber Rudy Gobert and the most promising young guard in the league. And this is what you make a video on, at RustyBuckets. So the video Rusty made was the Timberwolves have a cat problem. Cat is on the thumbnail. Red outline. And then this is what Rusty said. I made the video about the Timberwolves. Talked about a cat trade on the back end. Was a 9 out of 10 with an original title. Was a 9 out of 10 with the original title and thumbnail. 2 out of 10 after changing it to this. I still talked about all the things that you mentioned, but people gotta click on the video, man. I don't know what to tell you. One way or the other, ultimately more people heard me talking positively about the Timberwolves than would have if I left it. If I had left it. I'm not thrilled that drama is what gets clicks, but it is what it is. Obviously not your fault. You've always been higher on us. YouTube algorithm and the way NBA fans consume content is inherently toxic. Love the video, by the way. I straight up fucking hate catering to what works in the algorithm, but I got bills to pay. There was another thing he responded to. I'm going to try to pull that up. Why you wearing a beanie inside? I just like wearing beanies, man. I view beanies no different than wearing a hat. You know what I'm saying? What's the other thing I said? Okay, here we go. So, Jaden McDaniels, quote, Jaden McDaniels, GOAT, quote, retweeted Rusty's response and said, that's a problem. When a creator makes positive Timberwolves content, it doesn't generate clicks. But if it's negative, it does. I understand from a creator's perspective, but you got to understand that it's depleting for Wolves fans who finally have a good team to cheer for. I absolutely get it. I wish things were different, but I can't just make videos knowing they'll bomb and not do anything to change it. At the end of the day, I'm running a business, trying to support myself and an employee. Believe me, I'd much rather... I cannot read today. What the fuck? Believe me, I'd much prefer to live in a world where I can get a good performance just talking about how awesome the Wolves have been, but that's not this world, unfortunately, and I don't have the power to change it myself. I fully understand your side of it. It's just frustrating as fans. I usually love your content, though. This one just fired me up a little bit. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Rusty presses B-star. Rusty pressed his B-star and he won. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Bro went from I have a problem with your title and thumbnail to I understand why you did it now. But yeah, Rusty is completely right. Rusty is completely right. I think people need to understand that right now there is a creator class that is not just a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't too long ago when being a creator was either so go big or go home. I honestly still think that's the case, but it wasn't too long ago where it was either you make it or you break it type of thing in content creation. It's either you made it to the point where, you know, you're a Kai level creator, you're a PewDiePie level creator, you're making millions of dollars, you're retiring everyone that you know, including yourself, in a couple of years, or you just haven't made it that far. But we do live in a creator economy where there is this middle ground now, still growing, still can grow, of creators who are making enough money from this shit to do it full time. And I'm not saying it's paycheck to paycheck type of living, but it's also not retirement, I can just talk about whatever the fuck I want whenever I want type of timing as well. And from my understanding, I am one of those creators, and Rusty is also one of those creators, right? We are in this middle ground of we are making enough to do this full time, to provide a living for ourselves, to provide a living for the people around us, to pay employees. But it's also not fuck you money. So when it comes to Rusty, I completely sympathize with why he did this. And it's not a want, it's a need. It's not a want, it's a need. The views that his videos get generate revenue so that he can pay off his employees and so that he can put food on his fucking table. So he has a roof over his head at the end of the day. For me, I would love to talk about the Celtics 24/7. And I ain't gonna lie, I have the privilege of actually being in a big market team, at least in my opinion. Now, it's not LA, it's not New York, but the Boston Celtics are one of the most storied franchises in the NBA. If I sat here and talked about just the Celtics, I'm sorry, but I would not be where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. You know, when you're thinking about doing content creation full time, it is such a different mentality from what the mentality is when you are starting and trying to grow. You know what I'm saying? When you're starting and trying to grow, you're just starting to find out exactly what type of content you want to make. You're just starting to find out. Shout the great word for the resub. Appreciate you.
Sup, BSOLZ.
What's good, man? What's good? Appreciate you for the resub for the 3 months. But yeah, when you're starting out, you're just starting to find out what type of content that you want to make. But when you cross that threshold of, okay, I make enough to do this full time, and I said this on my TikTok, there's a different mentality that you need to have to become a full-time content creator. Once you cross that threshold, it is not a thing that you just do for fun anymore. This is an obligation. This is a career. Once you cross a certain threshold. Rusty has definitely crossed that threshold. And when it becomes your obligation, you gotta do certain videos that you don't feel like doing. I don't know what to tell you. It becomes like every other job out there. You know what I'm saying? You have a certain level of responsibility to make certain videos because it is your job. It is your obligation. Now, the beauty of YouTube is ultimately, you have the choice to not make that video. It's not like a regular job where you have to do this certain thing. You have to do this certain task. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it was optional for Rusty to make that video. But I think that's such a black and white argument as to what the fuck is going on. As a creator, we are used to meeting certain thresholds every single month to sustain the lifestyle that we're used to. And when Rusty's job is to talk about the NBA, and he has a 9 out of 10 video, it is natural for creators to try to change the title and the thumbnail nowadays to try to bounce back certain videos. So I personally don't have a problem with what the fuck Rusty did. To be honest with you, I used to have a problem with titles and thumbnails being too clickbaity, but I have personally changed my stance on that ever since. Like, even when I talked about Rebound, the only criticism I had was just, as a person that worked for them for a day, just being in that mentality, I could not be in the mentality of putting James Charles and LeBron James in the thumbnail. But I understood, this is a business and they're doing what the fuck they're doing. Because they need to. They have to. This is their career. This is their business. Same thing with Flight Mike. I'm gonna be honest, Flight Mike, I'm pretty sure he still got me blocked on Twitter. And I don't know if he's gonna see this clip. But yeah, I used to be one of those dudes that hated the Flight Mike's videos because of the fact that they were uber clickbaity, insane titles and thumbnails. Now I do still feel like there's certain lines that you should not cross as a YouTuber. But if you have to talk about the latest trade rumor and put Zach LaVine in a Laker jersey and make a thumbnail where it looks like he's in a press conference because that's what's going to get you clicks and that's what's going to put food on your table. Ultimately, all power to you. All power to you. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do to put food on the table. Do what you got to do to further your career. And I was talking about this yesterday. I love the way NBA YouTube is set up now because there's so many different avenues and options, and it's set up in a way where everyone can eat. You know what I'm saying? Everyone can eat. There's certain accounts, certain creators for you to watch for insane Timberwolves love. Now, they're not going to get any views, but they're out there. You know what I'm saying? If you want to watch casual basketball talk, if you want to watch a more casual perspective on the game that makes the viewing experience more fun, that's when you watch a Souls and Sage, right? That's when you watch a Flight Reacts. That's when you watch a Cash Nasty. If you want to watch basketball in a fun lens, that's where you go to. If you want a more analytical lens, you go to a Thinking Basketball. You go to a B-ball breakdown, right? You go to these certain outlets. You watch a JJ Redick podcast. And speaking of that, if you want first-person perspective on the game from people who played in the game, now you even have a lot of these NBA players starting up their own podcasts now. You know what I'm saying? Draymond Green, JJ Redick, Paul George, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. You have so many different fucking options now that I feel like complaining about a certain creator and how they move it's a losing battle, and ultimately I think it's a waste of time. It's a waste of fucking time. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, shout out to Rusty. Shout out to Flight Mike as well. Shout out to Rebound. You know what I'm saying? Again, I don't agree with everything that these creators have done. More so speaking on Flight Mike and Rebound. However, when it comes to the conversation around clickbait and creators having to do things that they don't want to do but have to do because of their career, I fully sympathize with that, and I fully understand what Rusty's going through. And shout out to Rusty for getting this video from a 9 out of 10 to a 2 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? It is just the world that we live in that negativity sells. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to tell you. Like, negativity sells. It is a psychological fact that negativity sells. You know what I'm saying? When the Celtics lost to the Timberwolves, the conversation was not even about how good the Timberwolves are. A lot of the conversation was, yo, the Celtics choked. You know what I'm saying? When the Rockets lost to the Lakers, a lot of the conversation was not about how the Rockets outplayed the Lakers. The conversation was about how the Lakers choked. That's just the world that we live in. So if I'm a basketball creator, yeah, and I want to do this for a living, yes, I am going to have to talk about these other teams, these marquee franchises, these big names, so that I have the space to talk about the lesser teams, right? So I can have that privilege. I think Kenny is a perfect example of this. And I understand Kenny is, he doesn't represent all of us because he is a 0.1%er when it comes to this shit. But it's the fact that he's making videos about the James Harden trade. It's the fact that he's making videos overreacting to every team's first game. It's the fact that he's talking about Wemby when Drew got traded that allows him the floor to make a video about the Minnesota Timberwolves having a breakout season. Is because he has built a YouTube empire so that, yo, I'm Kenny. I'm the creator. I can make this video that's a 10 out of 10. You know why? Because I have another channel that has 2 million views. I have 2 million subscribers or however many. I have another podcast where I can talk about basketball. I have another podcast on top of that where I can talk more about basketball. But yeah, it's just the name of the game. It's just the name of the game. It's the unfortunate world that we live in, but it also makes sense. It also makes sense. It just does. It just does, bro. It like if you're a music creator and you talk about hip hop, you talk about rap, you gotta make the videos about Drake. You gotta make the videos about Kanye. You gotta make the videos about Lil Baby. Right? To get eyeballs on your shit. So that at some point, you have such a high floor on your shit that you have the space to talk about the underground rappers, the underground artists. It's just the name of the game, dog. It's just the name of the game. And again, I think the space has evolved so much where the complaining is just unwarranted, because if you really want that in-depth Lakers talk, if you want that in-depth Charlotte Hornets talk, there's platforms out there dedicated to that. Now, they're not going to be as big as another platform that talks about all the NBA news, but they are there. They are there. So, I just want to get that off. Shout out my label that is me. What the fuck? All right, what's going on in chat? Shout out to L Meat. So a 9 out of 10 is bad. Yes, a 9 out of 10 is bad. For people who don't know how YouTube works, a 9 out of 10 is on the low end of things. So it's a ranking system. I'll show y'all right now. It's a ranking system. Okay, here we go. I'll show y'all my stats right now. So when you upload a video, YouTube tells you how good or how bad that video is performing, based off of a ranking system. This ranking system compares views of previous 10 videos. So these are my last 10 uploads. God damn, this shit is dirty as fuck. Hold on. So these are my last 10 uploads on the channel, right? Come on, focus. Please. Thank you. All right. These are my last 10 uploads. The one I uploaded today is this 5th one. Right? So out of the last 10 videos in the first 2 hours, it ranks 5th. This is a 10 out of 10. This is a 9 out of 10. So the higher that number is out of 10, the worse it is. That's how that works. So, also one of a good practice when it comes to YouTube is if you see a video that's a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, the best thing you can do is change the title and the thumbnail, because number one, you can't change the editing, right? So the only thing you have control over after you upload that video is to either one, just delete the video, or two, change the title and the thumbnail so you can get more impressions on it, get people to click more. And that's what Rusty did. So